everybody, and welcome to the Alumni House podcast. I am the Quacker, and we are here for the Week 6 review and a preview of Week 7 and for college baseball. I don't know how we're already at Week 6, but here we are. We'll start out with some news. This is something that I didn't see coming at this point in the season. But South Carolina and head coach Paul Mainieri have parted ways after less than 2 years. Mainieri coached only 80 games for the Gamecocks. His contract was through the 2029 baseball season, and his buyout will come down to how they classify the departure, if it's a firing or if it's he left on his own. It's kind of been weirded a little weird right now. If they fired him without cause, he's owed the remainder of his contract, which comes out to around $4.15 million. If he chose to step aside, though, then he has to pay the school back the remainder of that contract, which that's an odd stipulation in the contract. I've never heard of that before. But it kind of seems like the two sides are going to come together, if they haven't already done it, to negotiate a settlement so that it will allow the two sides to separate amicably, so there's no hard feelings. I was really surprised when Paul took this position. He was a great coach at his time at LSU, won a national championship, made many trips to Omaha with the Tigers. There were some seasons that he made it there where they probably had no business making it, but because of his leadership and how good of a coach he was able to get them there. Of course, he won the 2009 national championship. He took them to another championship series against Florida in 2017, I think it was. They lost that series. But, he's definitely a Hall of Fame coach. You hate to see his career kind of end like that, but, it happens, unfortunately. And it's a sad end to a great career. I've been a Paul Mainieri fan for a long time. I liked the way he coached when he was at Notre Dame. I liked what he did at LSU. And I just felt like he was a class act kind of coach. So it's a shame to see him kind of end that way. But that is part of coaching. You're going to be fired at some point. So that being said, we will get into the scores from this past or the series updates from this past weekend. We'll kind of cover I'm going to do something a little bit different this week. We're going to cover the series, like who played who and who won the series, and then we'll circle back once we get through all the conferences that we cover, and we're going to kind of start looking at some standings and stuff like that. And kind of where they stand in conference right now. So this be, I think this will be a little fun to kind of go through here. So we'll start off with the American Conference. The first series we'll cover is UTSA, San Antonio. They made the trip down to Boca Raton to take on Florida Atlantic. UTSA won the series 2-1. They took the rubber match game 18-8. So a 10 run rule game there. That's UTSA. They're really good baseball program. They were a Conference USA team. They won the conference the last year. They were in the conference in 22. They were there same time as Southern. in fact, I got to watch them play quite a bit during that tournament run. I had went to the tournament just because it's the last time that Southern would be playing in that conference championship series or in the tournament like that, and the last time that it would be hosted on Southern's campus. The Sun Belt, they host it in Montgomery, where nobody goes to. But that's neither here nor there. But they've been a really good program for a while. Their record right now is 17-7, 2-1 in conference. This was the first weekend that American had conference play. Florida Atlantic sitting at 14-10 and 1-2 in conference play. Next up, we have UAB. Made a trip out to Greenville, North Carolina, to take on the East Carolina Pirates. East Carolina won the series 2-1. UAB won the getaway game, so East Carolina won the first two games. UAB sitting at 14-10, 1-2 in conference. East Carolina 15-9, 2-1 in conference play so far. Let's see. Next series up is Rice went to South Florida, so made a trip down to Tampa. South Florida won the series 2-1. This one had to go to a rubber match to see who would win. So South Florida won the rubber match 7-2. Let's see. Rice has a 14-11 record, 1-2 in conference, and then South Florida with a 20-4, 2-1 in conference play. Next up, Charlotte went to Wichita State. Wichita State won the series 2-1. Again, they had to win the rubber match game to win the series. They won this one at 7-2 as well. Charlotte has a 15-9 record, 1-2 in conference play. Wichita State at 17-9, 2-1 in conference play. And then the final series here in the American is Memphis at Tulane. Memphis is not having a good season at all. Tulane won the series 2-1. Again, they had to win the rubber match game here. They won it by 10 runs, 12-2. Memphis is sitting at 6-16, 1-2 in conference play. Tulane's not having a great season either, but they're doing better. 13-12, 2-1 in conference play. Tulane is another program that they've been good in baseball. I remember they used to be really good in baseball. They kind of have fallen off a little bit here the last few years, but they won the conference tournament for like the previous two seasons before last year. I forget who won it last year. Maybe in UTSA, but Tulane they were going for like their third or fourth straight conference title last year, but they've been having to win the conference title to get into regionals, and that's not been a part of their history. They've been winning the conference, not necessarily winning the conference, but they've been playing well enough that they didn't have to win a conference title to get into regionals. And over the last decade or so, they have really kind of slipped from that pinnacle they used to be at. So, I wouldn't mind seeing them kind of rebound to get back to where they used to be, because they used to be a formidable mid-major school. All right, we're going to flip over to Conference USA here. We'll start off with Dallas Baptist had to make a trip over to Delaware. The University of Delaware is in Newark, Delaware. I did not know that. But Dallas Baptist won the series 2-1. They had to win the rubber match game to take the series. This one went 10 innings. They won this one 8-6. Their overall records are reversed. Dallas Baptist at 14-10, Delaware at 10-14. Dallas Baptist is 4-2 in conference play. Delaware is 1-5, so not a good start for conference play for Delaware there. Next up, Sam Houston made a trip out to Florida International, so trip over to Miami. Sam Houston State won the series 2-1. Again, they had to win the rubber match here. Won it 7-1. See, Sam Houston has a 11-12 record, 2-4 in conference play. Florida International is 8-17, 1-5 conference record. So they're sitting there with Delaware as far as conference records go. Next up, La Tech made a trip out to New Mexico State. New Mexico State won the series 2-1. Another one where they had to win the rubber match game to win the series. They won this one 8-6. La Tech has a overall record of 15-10. Their conference record is 4-2. New Mexico State is sitting at 11-12 overall record and a 3-3 Conference USA record. Let's see. Liberty went to Kennesaw State. Liberty won the series 2-1. Kennesaw State won the getaway game. But see, they won that one 4-3. Liberty has got a 15-8 overall record, 3-3 in conference play. And then Kennesaw State is sitting at a 10-10 record, 2-4 in conference play. Let's see. Next up, we have Middle Tennessee making a trip out to Missouri State. Middle Tennessee, Missouri swept the series 3-0. Won the last game 10-9. Middle Tennessee has a 12-12 record, 2-4 in conference play. Missouri State is sitting at 15-7, 5-1 conference play. Oh, they're really doing good in conference play right now. Western Kentucky went to Jacksonville State to play a series. Jacksonville State won the series in a sweep, 3-0. They won the getaway game 10-0. Looks like it's probably a run rule game there. Western Kentucky at 13-11, 3-3 in conference play. Jacksonville State 21-4, 6-0 in conference play. So they have yet to lose a game in conference. That is all for Conference USA. Now we're going to flip over to the last mid-major. We're going to flip over to the Sun Belt here. Sun Belt. Let's see. We'll start off with Arkansas State making a trip out to Georgia State. Arkansas State. Let's see. Georgia State won the series 2-1. Georgia State had to win the rubber match game to take the series. They won it 9-5. Arkansas State sits at 16-8, 3-3 in conference play. Georgia State is 13-12, 2-4 in conference play. Marshall went to Georgia Southern to play. Marshall won the series 2-1. Georgia Southern won the final game of the series 18-12. Not a lot of pitching in that game. Marshall, they are 13-9 overall, 5-1 conference play. And then Georgia Southern 6-17, 1-5 in conference play. Let's see, next up we have James Madison made a trip out to Conway, South Carolina to take on number 16 Coastal Carolina. Coastal won the series in the sweep, so 3-0 there. They won the final game by run rule 16-6. James Madison has an 11-11 record, 3-3 in conference play. Coastal sitting at 16-7, 6-0 in conference play. Can't get any better than that. Let's see. Next up, we have UL Monroe. Went to South Alabama. to play this weekend. South Alabama won the series 2-1. South Alabama with the this series clincher win on Sunday, 16-4. Let's see. Monroe has a 14-11 record, 4-2 in the Sun Belt. South Alabama with a 16-8, 3-3 in conference play. Next series up is Troy. Went to number 12, Southern Miss. Southern Miss won the series 2-1 after losing the first game of the series. They won the final two. Let's see. Troy has a 10-13 record, 3-3 in Sun Belt play. Southern Miss with a 19-5 record, 3-3 in conference play as well. Next up, App State went to Old Dominion. App State with the series win. They won the final game 10-6. Let's see. App State is 12-10 overall, 2-14 in conference, 2-4 in conference play. Old Dominion is a solid 500 here, 11-11, 2-4 in conference play. And then finally we have number 25 ULL making a trip out to San Marcos to take on Texas State. Texas State with the series sweep, so 3-0. They won the final game 16-6 in a run rule game. Texas, Lafayette has a 16-8 record, 2-4 in Sun Belt, and Texas State 15-8, 3-3 in Sun Belt play. All right, that takes us through the mid majors, and we'll step over into the power conferences here. We're going to swap over to the ACC. We'll start off with California made a trip to Boston to take on Boston College. Actually, it's Brighton, Massachusetts, which is just outside of Boston, but Boston College with the series sweep. California is 13-11, 0-6 in conference play. Boston College 16-8, 6-3 in conference play. So they actually played 9 conference games. They played 3 series already. Next up we had number 24 Wake Forest making a trip up to Charlottesville to take on number 9 Virginia. Virginia won the series 2-1. They won the getaway game 14-4. Wake Forest with the 17-7 record, 4-5 in conference play. Virginia is 20-5, 6-3 in conference play, and Virginia is in their first year with a new coach. You know, their Brian O'Connor left after last season. He's in Starkville now with Mississippi State. Of course, he's doing a good job there. Virginia hasn't missed a beat. They perennial Omaha team under Brian O'Connor. And it looks like they're going to just continue on with their winning ways under this new regime. So good for them. When you have a coach that's been at a school for 20 years like he was, sometimes when they leave for somewhere else or they retire, you see a drop off like you've seen at Rice with Wayne Graham. When he retired from baseball, the program has fallen off and it has never rebounded. So good for Virginia for being able to keep that momentum and continue their winning ways. Let's see. Next up, we have number 10 NC State made a trip to number 11 Florida State. Florida State won the series 2-1. Another 10-run rule game here, 15-5 for the series clincher. Let's see. NC State has an 18-6 record, 3-3 in conference play. Florida State is 19-4 with 5-1 conference record. Next up, Creighton went to Miami. This is a non-conference series, and they never put. I don't know why they do this with Miami, but they never put their records and stuff with Miami. Let's see. All right, so they swept the series with Creighton. The last game was a 15-5 win. They never. Miami is the only school on here. They never put like the series on there for some reason, and I'm not sure why. All right, so that kept my momentum there. Let's give me just a minute here. All right, let's see. Creighton is 9-11. They're 0-0 in Big East play. I don't know if Big East has started yet. Obviously not. Miami 18-6, 2-4 in conference play in the ACC. Let's see. Next up, Louisville made a trip out to number 14, North Carolina. Let's see. Chapel Hill. The game Sunday. North Carolina won the series 2-1. Chapel Hill turned into Chapel Thrill on Sunday as North Carolina won a squeaker 7-6 to clinch the series. Louisville with a 16-8 overall record, 3-3 in conference play. North Carolina is sitting at 20-4 and 1. They've got one tie in there, which a tie just happens when they have a game that like they'll have like a hard cutoff time on like a Sunday where they have to leave. Like the game has to be over by a certain time so they can make their flight back home. And if the game is tied at that point, then it's just it's counted as a tie. You don't see very many of them in college baseball, but you do see them. And this happened before conference play started. So North Carolina has a 6-3 record in conference play. Number 19, Clemson made a trip to Notre Dame. Notre Dame with the series sweep. And Notre Dame, yes, they do. While they're independent in football, they play in the ACC in basketball, baseball, all their other sports. Clemson has an 18-7 overall record. They're only sitting at 1-5 in conference play. And Notre Dame has a 14-6 record. They are 6-3 in conference play. Number 3, Georgia Tech went to Pittsburgh. Won the series 2-1. They had to win the getaway game to win the series. Won it 12-4. Georgia Tech 19-5 record, 6-3 overall. Pittsburgh 15-6 record, 3-3 in conference play. Duke went to Blacksburg to take on Virginia Tech. The Hokies won the series 2-1. Won the getaway game 7-6. Rubber match getaway game 7-6 to clinch the series. Duke has a 16-10 record, 4-5 in conference play. Virginia Tech has a 12-10 record, so they've obviously had some canceled games here, probably midweeks. 4-5 record in conference play. Utah Valley went to Stanford for the weekend series, and again they don't have. Give me just a second here. Let me get this pulled up. It's a 4-game series, and Stanford swept that 4-game series. The only close one was the first game. The final three games won 17-10, 15-9, 15-6. Let's see. Stanford. Let's see. Utah Valley has a 10-13 record. They have not started conference play yet. They play in the WAC. Stanford is 11-12, 1-5 in the ACC. And that concludes the ACC. We'll swap over to the final conference we cover here, the SEC. All right, here we go. Let's see. Missouri made a trip out to Tennessee. Tennessee won the series 2-1. They had to win the getaway game to take the series. They won it 7-1. Tennessee is 22 in the nation. Missouri is unranked. Missouri is 16-8 overall, 1-5 in conference. Tennessee 17-7, 3-3 in conference play. Number 18 Florida made a trip to Alabama. Alabama swept the series 3-0. Won the getaway game 14-7. Well, Alabama had a big day on Sunday. They swept the Gators in baseball and then made it to the Sweet 16 in basketball. Let's see. Florida has a 9-6 record, 3-3 in conference play. Alabama has an 18-7 record, and again they're 3-3 in conference play. Number 4, Arkansas made a trip out to Columbia, South Carolina. Arkansas won the series 2-1. South Carolina did win the getaway game. This is, of course, the day after Paul Mainieri was fired. Let's see. Arkansas has a 18-7 record, 4-2 in conference play. South Carolina 13-12, 1-5 in conference play. Let's see. We'll flip over to Vanderbilt making a trip to number 6 Mississippi State. Mississippi State with the series sweep and a run rule victory on Sunday or Saturday to clinch the finale here. That was Sunday. Let's see. Vanderbilt has a 13-12 record, 2-4 in conference play. Mississippi State 20-4, 4-2 in conference play. Number 2, Texas went to Auburn. Texas won the series 2-1. They had to win the final game to clinch the series. They did in shutout fashion, 5-0. Texas with a 20-3 record. They're 4-2 in conference play. It was number 2 Texas, number 5 Auburn. Auburn 19-4. They're also 4-2 in conference play. Georgia made a trip out to Aggieland to take on Texas A&M. It's number 7 Georgia at number 23 Texas A&M. Georgia won the series 2-1. A&M won the final game 18-5. Georgia with a 20-5 record, 4-2 in conference play. Against A&M's 18-5 with a 2-4 record. And I've got to go back a day here because there was several series that started on Thursday and finished on Saturday in the SEC. Let's see. Number 15 Kentucky went to Ole Miss. Ole Miss won the series 2-1. They had to win the final game on Saturday to take the series. They won 12-9. Let's see. Ole Miss Kentucky has a 19-4 record, 4-2 in conference play. Ole Miss is 19-6, 3-3 in the conference. Number 8 Oklahoma made a trip to Baton Rouge to take on LSU. Oklahoma won the series. They won the final game 4-3. They had to come back to win that game 4-3 too. It was 3-1 in the eighth, and um, they took the lead in the eighth and kept LSU off the board in that bottom of the eighth and the ninth to take that series. Let's see. Oklahoma, they are 19-5 with a 4-2 record. LSU is 16-9, 2-4 to SEC. They have really started struggling since right before conference play. Like their pitching has fallen apart. They can't hit. it's really been something. They're somewhat similar to Southern Miss. They've been struggling since conference play started. Like their hitting is down. Their pitching has kind of fallen off from where they were at the beginning of the season. It's weird how these. I mean, Southern was able to win their series and LSU was yet to win one, but it's kind of weird to see these two schools who both pride themselves in pitching, both struggling at the pitching position. And what's weird with like a Southern Miss is like they had a guy that they were starting on Saturdays. He was undefeated, very dominant pitcher performances. They moved him to Friday night, and he lost Friday night, which he had been undefeated before that. So it was kind of weird seeing him fall off like that. But it's right now it seems like Friday night is cursed for Southern Miss. But I say that because you see some of these schools that are struggling like LSU, Southern Miss. Say they're struggling. They're 19 wins on the season, but the struggle you see is through the pitching staff. Ole Miss, some of the struggles has been because of their pitching staff. It's these schools that kind of rely on pitching have really kind of been struggling lately because their pitching is not been where they expect it to be and expected to be at the beginning of the season. And it's not a lack of arm talent. It's for some reason like they're just not performing like they should be, like they're projected to be, and like they showed out early in the season. Because early in the season, like Southern Miss is almost unhittable. And since conference play started, they have looked very, very hittable. So it's kind of disappointing to see how they have struggled since the top 25 since conference play has started. We'll take a look at the current top 25 and make sure I have the right. I do not. For some reason, they did not update their top 25 on their own site. Let's see. Bear with me as go to a different site here to pull up a top 25. Let's see. Riveting content, I know. Give me just a second here. All right, here we go. This is D1 Baseball's top 25 I had to go to the NCAA website because on the D1 site they did not update it, which is weird. But number one, UCLA, they're 21-2 overall record. Number two, Texas, 20-3 record. Number three, Georgia Tech, 19-5. Number four, Arkansas, 18-7. Number five, Auburn, 19-4. Number six, Mississippi State, 20-4. Number seven, Georgia, 20-5. Number eight, Oklahoma, 19-5. Number nine, Virginia, 20-5. Number 10, Florida State, 19-4. And let's see. Florida State was the first team to move up. They moved up from 11 to 10. Number 11, Southern Miss. They moved up from 12. Southern Cal is at 12. They moved up as well. North Carolina at 13. NC State at 14. NC State dropped from 10 to 14. So all the teams that were below them last week moved up a spot. Coastal Carolina at 15. They moved up a spot. Oregon State at 16. They moved up a spot from last week. West Virginia at 17. They moved up 3 spots. They were ranked at 20 last week. Ole Miss is ranked at number 18 now. They were unranked last week. 19, Kentucky. They dropped 4 spots from last week when they were 15. Number 20, Oregon. They moved up a spot. 21, Tennessee. They moved up a spot from last week. Number 22, Arizona State. Number 23, Notre Dame. And number 24, Nebraska. They were all unranked last week. Number 25, Texas A&M. They dropped 2 spots from last week. So they were 23 last week. They're 25 now. And then dropping out of the top 25 was Florida, Clemson, Wake Forest, and Louisiana Lafayette. Now we will do a quick look ahead to this coming week for our schools here. If I can get my computer to act right here. All right, starting the American. Let's see. East Carolina will take on Duke tomorrow at 4. That'll be at Duke. Jacksonville State will take on UAB at UAB. Florida Atlantic will make the short trip to Miami to take on the Hurricanes. Charlotte will take on Queens, which is North Carolina. South Florida will take on Florida Gulf Coast. Texas A&M Corpus Christi will take on UTSA. And then Ole Miss will travel to Memphis for a game tomorrow night. Conference USA, you have Delaware making a trip to Ryder. Kennesaw State. The early game, they're playing, okay, this is weird. So Kennesaw State is playing number 7 Georgia tomorrow. This is at 3 o'clock. And Delaware has another game tomorrow against Rutgers. So that's where they're playing two games in the same day on midweek. UNC Greensboro is making a trip to Liberty. Let's see. UT Arlington is going to Sam Houston. Middle Tennessee is going to Alabama A&M. Louisville is making a trip over to Western Kentucky. TCU is headed to Dallas Baptist for a game. Oklahoma State is making a trip to Missouri State, which is a big deal there. It's a Power Four going to. It's one thing if it's in state, like if it was Oklahoma State going to Tulsa. Can't want to say Toledo. I was like, I know that's not right. But for a Power Four team to go to a mid major in another state, that's kind of a big deal there. And you have Louisiana Tech making a trip to Baton Rouge to take on LSU. Let's see, Sun Belt. You got Radford playing at James Madison. Coastal Carolina, number 16 Coastal Carolina making the trip to number 19 Clemson. William and Mary were making a trip to Old Dominion. Georgia Southern will be going to Charleston Southern. High Point is headed to App State. Number 20 West Virginia is making the in-state trip to Marshall. Alabama State will be going to Georgia State. Southeastern Louisiana will be headed over to Lafayette to take on the Raging Cajuns. Northwestern State will be headed up the road to take on Monroe. Number 5 Auburn is headed to South Alabama, to Mobile to take on South Alabama. Actually, this is in Montgomery. Never mind. So it's a neutral site game for them. Samford is headed to Troy. It's an in-state matchup there. UT Rio Grande Valley is headed to San Marcos to take on Texas State. And then finally, Southern Miss, number 11 Southern Miss is headed to number 6 Mississippi State for the second matchup between those two schools this season. Let's see, in the ACC, you've got Boston College headed to Northeastern. Pittsburgh is headed to Kent State. Let's see, Western Michigan is headed to Notre Dame. Virginia Tech will be headed to Eastern Tennessee State. So that's another one of those where you see a Power 4 team going to a mid-major. Let's see, Campbell will be headed to NC State. Florida will be headed to Florida State. Let's see, Virginia will be headed to Maryland. Elon will be headed to Wake Forest. South Carolina will be headed to North Carolina. And then in the SEC, we've got Houston Christian taking on Texas A&M. Let's see, USC Upstate headed to Tennessee. Murray State will be headed to Kentucky. Austin Peay will be headed to Alabama. Missouri will be headed to Illinois. Tennessee Tech will be headed to Vanderbilt. Central Arkansas will be taking on Arkansas. Texas will be headed to Houston for a matchup there. And that's all our Tuesday matchups. Is there any Wednesdays? None in the SEC. The American, you have Grambling taking on Tulane, and Rice taking on Houston Christian. This is again on Wednesday. In the ACC, you got Youngstown State headed to Pittsburgh. Youngstown State with a 3-17 record. They are killing it this season. Merrimack will be headed to Boston College. Let's see, Conference USA. You've got New Mexico State headed to Arizona State. And then finally, the Sun Belt. Is there any in the Sun Belt? There are 3 in the Sun Belt. You've got Old Dominion headed to Richmond. Troy headed to Florida A&M. And then Georgia Southern headed to the College of Charleston. And then for our weekend series here, we have, starting in the American, South Florida, we headed to Charlotte. Tulane, we headed to UAB. East Carolina to San Antonio. Wichita State to Memphis. And then Florida Atlantic to Rice. Let's see. Conference USA matchups this weekend. We have Florida International at Liberty. Kennesaw State at Delaware. Jacksonville State at Louisiana Tech. New Mexico State at Middle Tennessee. Western Kentucky will be headed to Sam Houston. And then Missouri State will be headed to Dallas Baptist. Let's see, in the Sun Belt, there we go, see Sun Belt. Coastal Carolina will be headed to Marshall. Let's see, Texas State will be headed to Georgia State. Troy will be headed to Georgia Southern. App State will be headed to Southern Miss. A nice in-state matchup here. UL Monroe will be headed to Louisiana Lafayette. James Madison headed to Arkansas State, and then Old Dominion headed to South Alabama. And then as we get into the power conferences here, of course, the ACC with their 475 teams. Let's see, we got Virginia will be headed to Boston College. Duke headed to Florida State. Pittsburgh headed to Louisville. Stanford will be headed to Virginia Tech. Wake Forest will be hosting California. Notre Dame hosting North Carolina. Clemson will be hosting Miami, and then NC State will be headed to Georgia Tech. That's all from the ACC, and then finally the SEC. We have Texas A&M headed to Missouri. South Carolina will be going to Georgia. Iron Bowl this weekend. I don't really know what to call it in baseball. It's the Iron Bowl on the diamond, I guess. But Auburn, we headed to Alabama. Florida headed to Arkansas. Kentucky will be going to Baton Rouge to take on the Tigers of LSU. Let's see, Egg Bowl, the Diamond Series will be played this weekend. Mississippi State at Ole Miss. Oklahoma, Texas, so the Red River Rivalry there, and then Tennessee, Vanderbilt. So a lot of in-state matchups this weekend. Here with a lot of rivalry series here this weekend in the SEC. So that is all the matchups coming up and stuff. And I said we'd look at the standings as far as conferences went. Let's see if I can get that pulled up here. I may not can. All right, here we go. Let's see. We'll start off with the American, as always. In first place, you have South Florida, UTSA, Wichita State, East Carolina, and Tulane, all tied in first. And then Charlotte, Florida Atlantic, UAB, Rice, and Memphis tied for second. So, of course, these are all 2-1 and 1-2. So, that's no 3-0 records in the American. Let's see, headed to the Conference USA. Let's see, Jacksonville State with the 6-0 record. They're in first place. Missouri State in second place. La Tech and Dallas Baptist are tied in third. Liberty and Western Kentucky and New Mexico State are tied in fourth. Let's see, Kennesaw State, Middle Tennessee, Sam Houston are tied in fifth, and then and tied for sixth place, Delaware and Florida International with 1 and 5 records. Let's see, Sunbelt we'll get here in a second. Let's see. Sunbelt with a 6-0 record. Coastal Carolina is in first place. Marshall is in second. UL Monroe is in third. Southern Miss, Arkansas State, South Alabama, Texas State, James Madison, Troy are all tied with third place with the 3 and 3 records. Lafayette, Appalachian State, Georgia State, and Old Dominion are tied with fourth place with 2 and 4 records. And then bringing up the rear, Georgia Southern with a 1 and 5 record. We'll pop back up here to the ACC. And again, we'll go through their 475 schools. They don't have that many, but they do have a lot. I think it's like 17 schools they have or 17 or 19. But Florida State with a 5-1 record, they are in first place, and that's just because they only have one loss. North Carolina, Virginia, Georgia Tech, Notre Dame, Boston College all hold a 6 and 3 record, so they will be in second place. NC State, Pittsburgh, Louisville each have 3 and 3 records, so they are in third place. Wake Forest, Duke, Virginia Tech, they're in fourth place with 4 and 5 records. And then fifth place, Miami holds it by itself with a 2 and 4 record. And then sixth place, we have a tie with Clemson, Stanford, and bringing up the caboose here, California at 0 and 6 with a 7th place standing as of now. But really, they're 17th. But see, final we have SEC. In first place, we've got Texas, Mississippi State, Auburn, Kentucky, Georgia, Oklahoma, and Arkansas. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 schools are tied for first place right now. Florida, Ole Miss, Alabama, and Tennessee are tied for second place with 3 and 3 records. Texas A&M, LSU, Vandy, they all have 2 and 4 records, so they're in third place. And then the bring up the rear again, Missouri and South Carolina each with 1 and 5 records in the conference. And this is still early on. I mean, they've only played 2 weeks for most conferences. ACC, they played 3 in some. But that's, you know, as we go on, you'll start to see more separation in the conferences here. So you know, it's like I said, it's my favorite time of year. It's baseball. Love me some college baseball. It's right there with college football, maybe even a little ahead of college football, honestly. But yeah, that's kind of a wrap for this episode. You know, the NCAA tournament's still going on. We're headed to weekend 2. So you'll have the Sweet 16 and the Elite 8 played this weekend. I hope your bracket is not quite as busted as mine is. North Carolina losing, Florida losing. They really kind of had a pretty bad impact on my brackets there. So with that being said, guys, I hope you have a great week. There's a lot of good baseball to watch this weekend. So enjoy the college baseball, enjoy the college basketball, and until next time, guys, we'll see you.